following is a special presentation of TNN Motorsports. One week ago, Daytona spelled disaster for numerous NASCAR Busch Series regulars. 5 wrecks led to heartbreak for many, costing them a chance at victory. But today's visit to the Rock offers a new beginning, as Daytona is but a distant memory, and the race for the NASCAR Busch Series title begins to heat up. Temperatures are in the 70s, but it's a very blustery afternoon here in the Sandhills region of North Carolina. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the North Carolina Motor Speedway. I'm Eli Gold. A pleasure and an honor to be able to join you here on TNN Motorsports for NASCAR coverage here in 1996. A very interesting storyline for you here today. Predictably, a good mix of Winston Cup and Busch Series qualifiers near the top of the racetrack today. But you take a look at a week ago, the Goodies 300 at Daytona. 3 fellas who failed to qualify last week are in the top 10 here today. And only 0.4 of a second separate our pole sitter this afternoon from the 40th qualifier, Michael Rich. So just some of the storylines we'll follow this afternoon. But quickest of the lot, no surprise, Mark Martin. Alongside him, Randy Pemberton as they get set to fire up the engines.
Mark Martin has just strapped himself into his familiar Winn-Dixie Ford. He's on the pole with a new qualifying record for this race, 150.952. Mark, can you hold off this stout field behind you today and win, go to victory lane?
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of good cars, a lot of good teams and drivers, and it's really getting warm here today. It's going to be hot and slick out there. I don't know if, if we're really prepared for that or not. We'll just try to make the best of it.
Okay, good luck this afternoon. Mark finished second here in the spring last year. You know who he finished second to? Well, he's the guy that's strapping in and standing by with Glenn Jarrett. Glenn?
Well, thanks, Randy. You know, last year Chad Little won at Daytona and here at Rockingham in a Ford, but this year he's in a new Pontiac Grand Prix. Last week at Daytona, he drove that Pontiac Grand Prix to the front of the field, led, looked real competitive, but last year at this race, you embarrassed the field, man. Can you do that this year in this Pontiac?
I don't know. That was one of those deals that just happens once in a lifetime, or that car was perfect for the day, but we have a strong car today. We qualified well, and I tell you, I think the John Deere car's got something for him today. It's just, can we put all those things together? We'll find out in about 197 laps.
Well, best of luck to you, Chad. Thanks a lot. This John Deere Pontiac he feels today will truly run like a deer. Now for more on pre-race, let's go down to Buddy Baker.
Well, Glenn, I tell you, this is a tough field to make. There's some real surprises in the top 10, such as Buckshot Jones, qualified 6th. Stevie Reeves, he qualified in 8th spot. In 10th place, Jeff Purvis. Jeff Purvis hadn't run here in so long, he got lost coming to the racetrack. But some of the guys here that made the field paid the price on the second lap.
Boy, they really did, buddy. If you watch Jason Kellers, he comes off turn 2. The car just got it hung out, really, trying to get that fast lap in. These 9-to-1s don't have a lot of horsepower, and so you got to run them loose. And then you look at Hillenberg coming off of turn 4. Same thing, just had it up there, got it in the loose stuff, smacked the fence. These guys have had to work hard all night long to get these cars ready to race today. There's also some guys that have worked hard that didn't make the race, and we're going to let Eli tell you about that.
All right, DW, there you see some of the names, some pretty good ones. Rodney Combs will get into the race today. He'll climb into the car that Michael Rich qualified in 40th spot. But Bobby Dodder on the way home, Jeff Fuller. There you see some of the other big names. Lester Lesneski coming up from the NASCAR Sportsman Series didn't make it. And there you see Randy LaJoie, the car that was driven by Johnny Benson to the championship a year ago. They qualified with their race setup. They had a gasket problem. All of those things contribute to them forced to take a provisional starting spot. So LaJoie has to start near the back of the field in today's Goodwrench 200. Today's exclusive TNN coverage of the Goodwrench 200 is brought to you by Haviland Formula 3 motor oil, controls volatility and fights vaporization. By the more than 1,250 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. By John Deere, makers of quality lawn and grounds care equipment. And by Hardee's. Try Hardee's new $1.99 breakfast combos, fresh from the kitchen at Hardee's. Welcome back to the North Carolina Motor Speedway. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for today's Goodwrench 200. Mark Martin, no surprise, he's on the pole with a brand new track qualifying record. One of the 3 Green brothers in the field, that's David Green. As we look back into the 42 starters here this afternoon, Chad Little, the defending winner, and Ricky Craven, who says he can win here this afternoon. Further back, you see Terry Labonte. Good qualifying effort for Buckshot Jones. Jason Keller, Stevie Reeves, and Darrell Waltrip. You know what some of these fellas have got to be feeling like here. I mean, experience we touched on. Let's face it, some just haven't the laps on this track that other guys do.
It's always that way, Eli. There's a little change in the tires, and setup that you ran here last year may not be working that well this year. So it's always an unknown in every race that you come to at this racetrack.
Mike McLaughlin there in the 34 car. Thought he had the car to beat last week in Daytona, but got caught up in an accident. Joe Bessie's machine. There you see Steve Grissom in row number 14. He won the Goodies 300 at Daytona 1 weekend ago. Jeremy Mayfield from the NASCAR Winston Cup Series. Larry Pearson, and buddy, you know, he says he's going to take a more patient approach to 1996. It always sounds good before they drop the green flag. I don't know if it's going to hold up or not.
Well, everybody remembers his famous father, and I tell you, he drives a race car with a lot of savvy, so I look for great things out of him today.
Right now, we're going to take you around this racetrack from some of the in-car cameras. The Winn-Dixie machine, that's the Ford from Mark Martin. One camera that goes all the way around 360 degrees. You've got that camera mounted on the roof of the automobile, and this one will look out the back of the car so you can get a good idea, as everybody's going to be chasing Mark Martin today, at least at the get-go. He will carry an in-car camera series along with Joe Bessie, who will likewise as well. There you see Joe, part of that amalgamation between himself and the active racing team. He'll also have a camera on the roof and also one out to the passenger side of the automobile looking around. So we'll have some interesting views for you here today. Little quick splash of fuel for Randy LaJoie. Steve Bird is the crew chief there. And fellas, he said the heck with qualifying, that we're going to qualify with our race setup. They had to take a provisional starting spot, but nevertheless, they are in the field. So we're set to go, the second of the NASCAR Busch Series races for 1996 under beautiful sunny skies here in Rockingham, North Carolina.
Eli, they came in and topped that car off. People might ask why. Well, he might be able to go 2 or 3 extra laps under green if it stayed green a long time.
And when you're starting back in 41st,
Nothing
42nd position, absolutely nothing to lose. Atop the flag stand now, waiting to start the Goodwrench 200. Green flag is in the air. Mark Martin quickly through the gearbox. Let's see who can hang with him. For the moment, David Green just tucks in line, single file.
You know, yeah, a lot of times the guys on the outside will try to make a deal with the guy on the inside to let him in, and I think that's probably what happened with Green and Chad Little there. Didn't last long.
No, it didn't. Chad Little trying to squeeze to the inside there. Nearly had the car come out beneath him. Mark Martin, the 12th Busch Series race he has led here at the Rock as he takes him back into turn number 1. If you're not familiar with this racetrack, 197 laps makes up the distance here today. That's 200 miles around a track that measures just a tick over a mile, 1.017. The banking in turns 1 and 2, 22 degrees, 25 degrees at the other end of the speedway. As you see, a pretty good scramble. Mid-pack now, Todd Bodine in the 81, working his way towards the 20th spot. That's back from 20th through 25th that you're looking at right now.
Yeah, you know, we saw all this go on at Daytona, and we thought, well, it's restrictor plate racing. But it looks like these cars don't have plates on them today, and they're still right at it, side by side, where they left off at Daytona.
Others trying to make their move towards the front. You've got Mike McLaughlin working his way forward. There you see others trying to just pick their way around this racetrack. It looks relatively benign, but, you know, guys can spin on this racetrack, DW.
Well, the deal here is that they practiced this morning, as you heard Mark allude to earlier. A little cool, a little overcast. Now we got 75-degree temperature, and the track goes through a dramatic change when the temperature comes up that much.
The 75 car, Doug Hevron. The 9 is Joe Bessie as they battle middle of the field for 23rd and 24th.
That's Michael Waltrip in the M&W Wonder car, making it 3 wide down the front straightaway.
You know what I like about that, Mike? He told me, he said, I got to take care of my equipment. I tore my car up there at Daytona, and I got to get through this race. He's driving like he's going to take care of it.
Everybody's sorting themselves out among the top 20, but from 25th on back, as we look at that battle from Joe Bessie's car, you've got the Lux machine with problems on the backstretch. One car spins, and we are under caution. That's the number 72 machine from Mike Dillon, who spun coming out of turn number 2, and the machine that won here a year ago, or actually last October more appropriately, at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. So caution for the first time today, coming out on lap number 5 as young Mike Dillon spins off the turn. Mark Martin, the race leader, he has been unchallenged since the get-go. 5 of 197 laps complete here at the Rock. Getting back to go green here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway. Quick look at why we had this caution flag as Mike Dillon came out of the corner and the car just came around on him. Young man who happens to be the son-in-law of one Richard Childress as we get set to go back to green here. It'll be 8 laps complete. Hermie Sadler is still on pit road. He's been in and out a couple of times now. The hood is up on his DeWalt Tools car. We'll get an update shortly as we go back to green. Single file restart, and Mark Martin again just leads him back to turn number 1.
Yeah, that's not a good sign for the competition when a guy can get that big a jump on a start like that, Eli. It means he's got a lot of power, and obviously he's putting it down to the racetrack.
If you are a Hermie Sadler fan, he has lost a lap now, but the car back on the racetrack while you see the leaders working back towards start-finish.
I think worse than that, Eli, he's lost the cylinder, so yeah, he's going to lose a lot of laps, I think.
Tough way for the season to open up for young Hermie Sadler as the leaders now swing by him. There you see the running order among the top handful. And there Sadler goes another lap in arrears, car number 1, but look at the edge that Mark Martin's already pulled up, and look at this scramble for position back at around 14th or 15th position.
Yeah.
There you see Bessie. Hillenberg ahead of him on the right. The left is Tim Fedewa.
You see Hillenberg there. He was very careful not to get over in the line there. We have trouble in turn 1.
Cars go up into the corner. Caution is on the speedway for the second time this afternoon as Randy Porter, the young driver from Greenville, South Carolina, has the car come around on him. So caution for the second time at lap number 11. So a rather sluggish start to the Goodwrench 200. Why, fellas, can a car just come around on you that quickly here?
Well, it's like you said earlier. I'm sorry, buddy. Go ahead.
You ought to
might have a better
this.
analogy.
You've done the same thing yesterday. You can tell us firsthand. DW backed his the length of the straightaway yesterday.
I was going to tell you, first-hand experience off of 2 over there particularly. It's just a little slick. There's a patch over there on the racetrack.
There you see Porter's car just breaking loose and impacting the wall, and we are under caution for the second time. We'll take a look at it again, see if we can get a better idea if maybe he had some help or if the car just went by itself. Close quarters racing, well, tough to tell.
I'm going to bet on help myself. They were awful close together.
So 2 quick cautions here in the first dozen laps of the Goodwrench 200. Mark Martin has been the man to touch so far. He has led from the opening green as we are live on TNN from the Rock. Today's exclusive TNN coverage of the Goodwrench 200 is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. At Napa, we keep America running. And by Peerless Faucet. Get more out of your faucet than just water. Taking a look at the AutoZone race analysis brought to you by the more than 1,250 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. There you see all the numbers pertinent. As we mentioned, 197 laps here and 45 miles an hour, the pit road speed. For those of you who might be new to our sport, of course, these cars don't have speedometers. You really have to pay attention to your tachometer.
Yeah, that's what you do. You gear the car and you know what is supposed to turn, and you don't really worry about if you get the RPMs, you'll have the speed.
Yeah, you just go around on the parade lap. They get the thing to what they call pit road speed. You look over in second gear, it might be 4,000, and it might be whatever.
An overhead look at the North Carolina Motor Speedway as the field is working under caution for the second time here this afternoon. Randy Porter having spun his car moments ago in turn number 1. What's that on the low side of the racetrack?
Well, this is over in turn 2. You asked what caused the car just to spin out. This little patch right here is a patch of concrete, and when you hit that, you lose. It's just a little bit different texture than the asphalt is, and you can can lose control of the car right there. A lot of guys fight that spot right there.
Darrell, is that what you told your car owner yesterday?
The reason I pointed that out is because I spun out on that little patch.
It can well happen. Happened to a lot of fellas yesterday. Mike Laughlin Jr., he had a problem, spun out. You showed earlier the Keller and Hillenberg spin. So it's not something that is just reserved for a couple or few. A lot of guys have had little handling problems trying to dial their race cars in.
You know, Jeff Fuller was at the top 10 in points and everything. In the first lap of qualifying, he drove down into turn 3, got a little bit high, hit the wall extremely hard, and missed the race here. That's a terrible break for that guy.
Yeah, another guy that missed the show, too, is Tony Stewart. You know, the IndyCar USAC champion. I'm sure that's Harry Renier's car, and I'm sure they were really disappointed that they didn't make this race with Waddell Wilson and that whole crowd.
Darrell, they didn't get to test, and as you know, at this racetrack, it really is important to come down here and set your car up before you get here because you don't have that much time to practice.
If you're curious about the Hermie Sadler situation, there is a report, Glenn Jarrett, that the problems might still be continuing for that team.
Well, Eli, we first got a report that he had lost a cylinder. Then his people came and told us that the plug wire, number 8 plug wire, was off of it. The reason that he had lost a cylinder, they say they got it fixed. Now Kevin LePage, car number 71, reports he's got oil all over the front of his car. He thought it was coming from Hermie's car. That came as a big surprise to Hermie's people. Also, Jeff Purvis, who started up in the top 10, he found his way to the racetrack okay here this morning. But Jeff is reporting an unusual popping sound coming from his car. No loss of power yet, but his crew's keeping an eye on it. They hope that it's nothing serious, maybe just an exhaust leak, but they're a little confused right now.
Well, we'll find out as we're about set to go back to green. Hermie Sadler, the only car not on the lead lap. He finished third here back in 1994, so he knows his way around the track, but this doesn't look as though it's going to be his afternoon early. Green flag in the air. And we're back to green flag racing for Mark Martin, who again, just look at him just rocket away from the field there in the first corner.
Yeah, see, a lot of people say, oh, man, he's got a really trick transmission. He doesn't have a trick transmission. He got a trick motor is what he's got, and he'd motor right all the way.
Another unsolicited testimonial right there. As Mark Martin leads the field, you've got David Green running in the second spot, the green and yellow colors. That's the new look for Chad Little's machine. Then Ricky Craven, Terry Labonte, Buckshot Jones still hanging right in there. Middle of the field, you see the 52 machine, Andy Hillenberg. They're working their way towards the front. Everybody trying to vie for a little old piece of real estate right now here in the early going.
Well, we got a grocery cart leading. We got a Cat running second, a Caterpillar running second. We got a John Deere running third. That's quite an interesting lineup.
It is, and here comes the DuPont colors near the front trying to take a spot away, but we're seeing a good 3-wide battle now. Off turn number 4, you've got Jeff Green in car number 3, the 63 for Curtis Markham. Everybody else trying to work their way through. Todd Bodine is there as well, as we're still in the early stages. Just 18 laps complete here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway.
I tell you, Hillenberg's holding everybody up. That car's crashed pretty badly qualifying, as we noted, and he's just really trying to get out of people's way, and he's up on the high side, but he's causing a lot of problems.
You see Randy LaJoy there. He started dead last. You see him working up through the field. Apparently, they did the right thing for setting this car up for the race because they're really flying around the racetrack.
Chad Little looks to me like he's getting ready to go really far back. He's his car just went out from under him big time.
And he finds himself out of the draft. Terry Labonte's in the 5. You've got the lap car of Hermie Sadler right there. The 00 is Buckshot Jones. All of those teams tried to get by, and I think it turned out to be a break for Chad Little that Hermie's car was there. He was able to sandwich his way back in line. That's positions 3, actually positions 4 on back that you're looking at. Terry Labonte in the 4th spot. And even getting off the corner, Hermie Sadler getting the better jump right there, and that black and yellow number 1 machine getting the better jump than Chad Little going through the corner.
Yeah, Chad Little's car is really loose right now, buddy.
Yeah, you look at Mike Wallace right there in the 90 car. He's making a move toward the front right now. He's trying to get up under Chad Little as they work their way off turn 2 there.
Let's check in with Randy Pemberton. He's standing down in the Chad Little pit.
Well, he's radioing to his crew chief saying this thing is bad, bad, bad. And that is obvious at the moment. I talked to his crew chief, Gary Cogswell, before the race. He he said these Pontiacs, new body style, this is our first shot at it. It takes a total different setup than any Pontiac that we've run before. All the springs are different. They run different combinations. They love the downforce of this car, but it's a new automobile, and they'll have to take a little time before they get it sorted out. Right now, Chad is having a battle, just trying to keep Sadler's lap car back there, as well as a 90 car coming up behind him.
Of course, Chad Little had 6 wins last year here on the NASCAR Busch Series, including the win right here at Rockingham. Good scramble there as you look from Joe Bessie's car forward. Michael Waltrip in the MW Windows machine. Jim Bound in the Lux car, number 51. That's a good scramble for position now as they work the corner.
Michael's moving up pretty well. He's passed a lot of cars and gotten himself clear here of a big pack of cars, so he's moving up pretty well.
And a good battle for second place. You've got David Green ahead of Ricky Craven right there. Ricky Craven, he'll run 10 NASCAR Busch Series races here this season, along with his full complement of NASCAR Winston Cup events. But that's the look back from Mark Martin all the way back to the battle for second spot now as they head back to turn number 1.
You know, Chad Little's an interesting kind of a guy. He was real loose down low. He moved the car up to the high side and has actually helped himself considerably. He's not losing as much ground. He's not going forward, but he's not losing as much ground.
Here comes Mike Wallace on the bottom side of Chad Little. They're running side by side, and that's Buckshot Jones there in the 00. Mike and these guys are really going at it right at the moment. They're rubbing a little paint down in the middle part of the corner. They don't get much better than this.
Oh, it might. It might get better than this. We saw a heck of a finish here last year, buddy, and it was the best race I think I'd ever seen.
Just about touching there, and again, Mike Wallace feeling a little racy. Didn't make last weekend's Goodies 300, so this is his first Busch Series race of the year. While we watch this battle closer to the front, Ricky Craven has gotten around David Green in their battle for second place, but this is the battle everybody's watching right now. It's a good scramble back in the corner. Again, way up the banking goes Chad Little's car.
Yeah, and you notice that the 57 car there has moved in. Jason Keller, he's moved into the fray now. We're going to have some real scrambling going on here for this position.
Well, Chad is really, he is holding them up, although he's holding his own, but he's running that high line, and when you're out there on the outside, it makes it difficult for that man down low to get under you and get by you because he needs that groove you're in.
28 laps are complete of 197. An unscheduled pit stop to be made by the Jim Bound team. He was running well moments ago, but he'll come down the pit lane while that battle between Chad Little, Mike Wallace, and Buckshot Jones continues.
We have a report that Chad Little's pushing coming up out of the corner, Darrell. There's not anything more aggravating than having the car doing that at Rockingham.
He looks like he's loose in and tight off, and that's a crew chief's nightmare because he just really doesn't know what to do, and it can drive you crazy, as well as the competition, because you don't know where to pass it.
Well, Mike Wallace takes advantage in the black and blue machine. He'll get by. Buckshot Jones also doing well, the young driver from Monticello, Georgia, in the 00, not putting himself in a position in which he'd be uncomfortable. He hasn't the laps on this track that other fellas do, and he's just biding his time for the time being.
And the 44 car that's right in the picture there, that's Bobby Labonte. This car is extremely fast. You see him trying to get that lower line, but you don't take that gamble going in the corner here. If you don't know they see you, you better not stick that nose in there because they'll really wrap you getting in the corner.
We're watching the battle from position 4th on back. Near the front of the field, nobody challenging Mark Martin quite yet, though Ricky Craven is trying to close in. He's now the second place runner. We'll keep you informed there as you watch the 40 machine. That's Tim Fedewa's new look here for 1996. Number 81, that's Todd Bodine. Buckshot Jones in the 00. Chad Little again forced to the high side of the racetrack. And this time, trouble. Buckshot Jones and Chad Little as they were battling for position. Caution on the Speedway. They were going for 7th spot at the time of the incident, something we talked about just a few moments ago.
Well, that's a typical took the air off my spoiler right there move. The car on the outside went down in underneath, or the car on the inside, Buckshot, went on the inside of the 23 car, and he just sucked him around. What happened?
Caution at lap number 33 for the 3rd time this afternoon as we take another look, fellas. Buckshot pulling away from the scene of the accident. And there you see him, the 00 and the 23.
That Pontiac's just got a hold of that Ford, even though he ain't touching him. He just
Darryl,
pulling
that's
on him.
right where he gets back on the throttle, getting in the corner there, and you can see the back end start around. Like you say, the air was off the rear spoiler. There's no question. Nobody made any contact there.
Yeah.
He just lost it.
The car's a little bit light getting into the corner right there, and then you got that guy on the outside of you, and it will absolutely feel like your tire went flat. It'll just pull you right around.
And by the way, tomorrow on our coverage of the Goodwrench 400, we'll take a much closer look at the new Pontiac and what it does on the racetrack, why it's designed as it is. And there you see Buckshot just going around in a tough way for the afternoon to end for the young man from Monticello, Georgia. Chad Little is in. A lot of chassis work to do, Randy.
Well, no question about it, Eli. His crew chief is going to go ahead and stick a rubber in the right front. That means wedge a rubber in the right front spring. That's supposed to help that pushing condition he's got coming off the corners. While they're in the pits, they're going to change 4 tires on the John Deere Pontiac. Right side tires are down. A couple of other guys blowing by on pit road. Activity, not too much as we see on pit road. Left side tires coming off of the John Deere Pontiac. Left side's now going on. 2 guys pitting in front of him as well. The 52 car and the 3 car.
So
there goes Chad Little.
Got Chad Little pulling away. Andy Hillenberg has been in. Jeff Green has been in. Also, Tim Fedewa stopped for Dennis Setzer. Buckshot Jones has made it around the pit road. So has Doug Hevron. Pit stops under caution. Lap 35. We are going back to green. Lap number 38 up on the board of 197 here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. Glad you're with us for the Goodwrench 200 here on TNN Motorsports. Mark Martin continues to lead. Let's see now what Ricky Craven can do, not having to deal with traffic. He's got a good clean shot at the race leader as they head back up into turns 3 and 4.
It'll be interesting to see if he looked like he may have been closing a little bit there with that caution. So I tell you, David Green's doing a really good job in that 95 Cat car too. He's been right there in 3rd place and running a good smooth race.
He is in 3rd spot. That car, a lot of folks don't know, the very first car to cross the finish line at the new Las Vegas Motor Speedway. They're building it with all that Caterpillar equipment. They took the car out there the other day and for your basic photo opportunity, pushed it across the finish line as we have a good battle for the lead. Ricky Craven in the 2 machine blowing right by Mark Martin here at the start-finish line. So the first lead change of the afternoon. The young man's pretty stout right there.
Well, he really is. And if you want to beat Mark Martin, just pass him. I know you guys.
That, ladies and gentlemen, was Darrell Einstein.
You're going to say, what does that mean? Well, Mark is a good racer, and he can sit out there and lead the race all day long. But if you get to racing with him, sometimes that's how you got to get up there and pass him so they know you can beat him.
Is that common discussion in the garage area? I mean, is that the guys know the styles and the personalities of everybody else that well?
Well, if you just recall here last year, Mark was leading the race, and a couple of cars got up there and roughed him up a little bit, and the next thing you know, he finished 7th or 8th. That's just kind of Mark's style.
Interesting. 1 car spins on the back straightaway as we're under caution. Chad Little, he has the 55 machine spinning along with and a host of other cars. Multi-car problem on the back straightaway, and at lap number 41, we are under caution yet again. It looked as though maybe Chad was the first machine to break loose. There you see, though, the 50 car that Jimmy Kitchens is driving, young man from Birmingham, Alabama. He was involved, and we are under caution yet again. So this race having a multitude of problems in the first 40 laps.
I noticed Dennis Setzer was also involved in that. He drove away. He's got a little bit of damage to the a lot of damage to the left front of the race car on the Lipton car there.
Yeah, he does. Chad was just, his chassis was way off, and they tried to patch it up, but I think they must have made it worse.
Let's see if we can get a good idea, fellas, as to what happened here. There's the beginning. 1 car, that was Chad Little. The 23 was already loose at that point. And here you see everybody else trying to do what they can to avoid.
Yeah, it's really narrow back there, and if anybody slows down at all, bam, boy, that's a hard lick. That's a narrow back straightaway. When there's an accident, everybody gets sucked up in it.
And Chad Little at this point taking the John Deere machine back around to the attention of the crew, while other teams elect to make pit stops here at lap number 42. Well, Chad Little's going to be wondering what a difference a year makes after totally dominating this race a year ago. He led 177 of the 197 laps a year ago. That's Jimmy Kitchens, obviously okay. Young driver from Birmingham, who actually tested for Derek Cope a year ago. as now we see pit stops taking place. Let's go down to Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Chad Little has just brought his Pontiac, and it doesn't really look like a Pontiac anymore, Eli. I don't know what it looks like, but several of the lead cars, Mark Martin, Ricky Craven, they have all elected to stay out for one more caution. So they're going to roll the dice and think that there will be another caution. So the first 5 or 6 cars in the running order are not going to pit. And let's go down to Randy now. He is in Chad Little's pits.
Well, they came in and tried to do a little cosmetic work on the car. It didn't look like they bent anything up underneath the chassis on Chad's car, but correct one thing I said prior to that on a pit stop. He put a rubber in the right front as well as the right rear, and Darrell documented that's the way to fix the pushing loose condition that he had. It was pushing coming off, but evidently it didn't get it enough. Chad went around, but they've got some work to do for the defending race champion.
And that is the man who is leading right there. The DuPont colors for Ricky Craven, while Dennis Setzer is in for a spot of tea here at Rockingham. Today's exclusive TNN coverage of the Goodwrench 200 is brought to you by the more than 1,250 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. And by Royal Star by Yamaha, the cruising spirit lives. A magnificent day here in the Sandhills of North Carolina, and a great overhead view brought to you by the fine folks at Steel, bringing you all of the helicopter shots today. Steel, powerful, easy to use, and durable, qualities you can depend on in Steel territory. Along with Buddy Baker, Darrell Waltrip, Glenn Jarrett, Randy Pemberton, I'm Eli Gold. Glad you're able to tune in here on TNN this afternoon. A lot of you folks might have been familiar with the fact that we were also to have had Larry McReynolds join us here today. Regretfully, he's busily working on his race car, getting Ernie Irvin set for tomorrow, but he'll join us a bit later on in the season. How about the Pontiac? Something a lot of folks have talked about as far as 1996 is concerned. Today's AutoZone innovation is brought to you actually by Peerless Faucets. Let me correct myself right now. An innovation that Glenn Jarrett has for us to get you more attuned to Pontiac.
One of the biggest differences on the new Pontiac Grand Prix body style is the rear deck lid. It is definitely innovative. I've got Jeff Hensley here. He is the co-owner and crew chief on Curtis Markham's number 63 Pontiac. Jeff, if you will, tell us what is different about this rear deck lid, what it does for you, how it works.
Well, the biggest thing is we've been able to obtain downforce without creating a lot of drag. And with NASCAR, you have to run stock production pieces, and this is a stock production trunk. And the biggest part of the downforce is in like the edge of the 12 inches of the spoiler. And we don't get the drag through the middle because it's lower. And you know, this is our downforce area. This is our straightaway speed for for not having to drag because it's down, but yet it fits the stock production trunk.
Interesting look at the back of those Pontiacs. We check in on pit road with Glenn Jarrett.
Hey guys, we got a major traffic jam down here. Chad Little pulled his car in behind the wall. You can see him dropping it down right now. Just at the same time, the ambulance brought Jimmy Kitchens in here for a perfunctory checkup. He's okay. The ambulance cannot get into the ambulance to the care center area. Chad has got his car down now. They're going to back the ambulance up. Jimmy got out of the ambulance a while ago, started to walk away. Rescue guy says, no, man, you got to ride the ambulance in there. So they put him back in there. He's okay, folks, but now I think we're going to get the ambulance in there. Let's go to Randy.
Well, I checked the suspension pieces on the 23 car. They look fairly straight. Even the truck arms on the back look straight. He did rupture the radiator. A lot of cosmetic damage to the John Deere Pontiac. They've got plenty of work to do if this guy's going to come back from this one here today and get a decent finish, as he has to get as many points as he can en route to a first championship in the Busch Series.
So the field getting the 1 to go signal now as some last pit stops take place. Larry Pearson has been on pit road. That's Dennis Setzer's car, the red and yellow machine you see coming back off. Others who have made some good moves towards the front, Mike McLaughlin, he's running in the 9th spot now in car number 34, a good run for him. Others who have made their way towards the front include Steve Grissom in car number 29. He was back in 28th position, now being posted in the 10th spot. So Grissom, who had himself a fine Saturday a week ago. Interesting to see exactly how stout that car would have been last Saturday without Jimmy Spencer's drafting help. Part of racing, certainly, but interesting what he's got under the hood.
Yeah, well, anytime you're sitting out there like Dale was, Jarrett, you're a sitting duck, and I think that's what Steve said. And I believe with any help at all, Steve would have caught him. So I don't think that was a real big factor. Would like to make note that there are 3 greens in the race today: Jeff, Mark, and David.
Right.
And I think, check this, but I think it's the first time we've had 3 brothers running the Busch Series in the same race ever, as far as I know.
Yeah, actually, a couple of times before we've seen some big brothers. No, you got a third of the field in Winston Cup racing now. That's all related as we get back to green here at Rockingham, and the race lead is held by Ricky Craven. Good restart for him, but Mark Martin in the 60 right behind him. Mark led the first 38 laps here, if you're just joining us along the way.
You see Mark Martin making a move on the inside of Ricky Craven down the front straightaway. Mark is showing a lot of muscle right now. Craven was able to pass him just before the caution, but look at him go now. Mark is really on the move.
Lap number 50 put the Winn-Dixie colors back in front here at Rockingham.
See, Steve Mill called Mark and said, "Mark, Darrell said that the way to beat you is to pass you." Mark said, "Well, watch this."
Well, he is flexing those muscles again, so Mark Martin will show the way. There you got Jeff Purvis in the 4 machine, all working their way through traffic. The 74 car, that's the FINA machine in the middle of the pack. That's Randy LaJoy working his way back towards the front. Remember earlier in the day we told you he had to take a provisional starting spot as one car slows on the racetrack, and they will be heading down the back straightaway. Steve Grissom in for a quick look on the backstretch. They do pit on both sides of the racetrack here, if you're not familiar. 30 pit stalls on the front straightaway, and everybody else on the backstretch. Maybe not quite as much of a penalty box as they used to be, but it still is not the desirable spot.
No, it isn't. Eli, what we're seeing now is these cars have run long enough. The tires are worn a little bit, and setup is now going to be the factor. How you got your car set up for this afternoon, this hot, sunny condition, is going to be the difference in who runs and who doesn't.
We talked about it being real blustery, fellows, earlier. Is that a major factor here as it is at a Daytona or Talladega? Do the cars dance around as much here with the wind gusts as they do elsewhere?
No, I don't think you notice it. At least I never have. How about you, buddy?
No, I don't think the wind has anything to do with it, but I tell you what, it does have a big major role in the race here, is how you utilize your tires. Kind of saves something for later on in the run. If you do it all in the first 10, 12 laps, you pay the price later on.
Steve Grissom has completed his pit stop that we mentioned a short while ago, losing a lap as you watch from within Joe Bessie's car. Now back towards the middle of the field. 52 Hillenberg, 3 is Jeff Green. Those cars working back around the 12th, 13th, 14th position right now, all chasing Mark Martin, the race leader.
That's too bad for Grissom, because he's one of those kind of guys at a race like this that you don't even know he's in it until he gets down there about 25, 30 laps to go, and all of a sudden you look up and he's leading the race, and he may have just lost that strategy. He's going to have to go pretty hard to get back on the lead lap.
Oh, David Pearson kind of style, wasn't it? As we have a good scramble again, working through the corner.
Well, we know that Grissom's car is fast. We know he's got a great car, and so he could probably get back on the lead lap with a little luck. I think he must have had a flat tire.
25 working his way on the inside groove, Johnny Rumley. Working lap number 56 of 197 here in Rockingham. There you see Hillenberg, middle of the racetrack, having to yield to the 99 of Glenn Allen Jr. And I thought the interesting move there was a move that never happened in the 3 car. Jeff Green just waiting and watching, and almost went, decided to hang on for a minute.
That wasn't anything wrong with Joe Bessie's car going down the back straightaway. He run over some oil dry from the wreck prior to this, and it looked like the motor was giving up a little bit. But don't worry, all the fans for Joe Bessie, it was just oil dry on the back straightaway.
You see Hillenberg in that red, white, and blue 52 car. That's out of the Kenny Schrader Racing shops, the 52 machine is, but he'll lose the inside groove now. Green will go by the 92. That's Larry Pearson. The 72, Mike Dillon, who spun early in the day at lap number 5 and brought out our first caution. It seems to have calmed him down pretty well.
Well, the 52 car is seriously damaged.
Yeah.
Now, he had a hard crash in qualifying, and I'm sure he's got his hands full just trying to run and stay out of trouble and finish this race, because they want to run all the races for the championship.
Timmy Cahuth and the crew taking care of that machine out of Ken Schrader's shop, the 52. The 55 on the right of your screen, Johnny Chapman. And there, meanwhile, is David Green in car number 95 as he battles for position. All of this taking place well behind the race leader right now. We'll get an interval for you as Mark Martin comes across the stripe. He is nearly a full second ahead of second place Craven, but that's a good scramble between Jeremy Mayfield in the 98 in the black car and the man to his inside, the Caterpillar colors for David Green. The 66 is Nathan Butke. We've not talked much about that young man out of Randleman, North Carolina, and Mike Wallace as well. That is the battle now for third, fourth, fifth, and sixth position.
I think what Mark did, Eli, is he kind of backed up there and let the 2-car get in front of him just to see what he had. And I think Mark said, well, if that's all he's got, I think I'll just go on.
You hear him acing out, don't you, Eli? Just a little while ago, he put the mouth on him about just put a little pressure on Mark Martin. Now he's trying to get out from under that rock.
Well, but the pressure's gone now, so he's gone again. No, he's a great little racer. Don't misunderstand me there.
Good scramble now. The Caterpillar colors for David Green. The 92 is outside. That's Mike Wallace as they will scramble for third position. And we're starting to hear from Jason Keller also as he works near the front while Terry Labonte in the 5 machine gets caught out of line. And your old brother Michael Waltrip goes by and picks up a spot on Terry Labonte. That is back in 10th position. So all the while, Mark Martin continues as the race leader. Ricky Craven running in the second spot in the mid stages of the Goodwrench 200. Welcome back to the North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham, where Mark Martin in car number 60 continues to lead the Goodwrench 300. While you were away, Steve Grissom did get his lap back, so he is back on the lead lap. And we were talking about the strength in that car. You don't be surprised if he's a story before this afternoon is over. There you see David Green still working alongside Michael Waltrip in the MW Windows machine. Oh, Michael's giving that car a good run.
He is, and I tell you, I think owning his own car is going to make him a smarter driver because he's going to learn to pace himself and take care of his equipment. I think it's going to help him a lot. And not only that, working with the Woods brothers is going to help that young man too. That's going to be a great combination for this year over with.
30 cars currently on the lead lap. A couple of lead changes among Mark Martin and Ricky Craven. 4 caution periods for 19 laps thus far. And there's an interesting story in the middle of the screen. That's Mike Wallace in the 90. To his immediate right, that will be Mike McLaughlin in car number 34. And McLaughlin started way back in the 20th spot. And there you see those two machines as they have worked themselves to the front. And McLaughlin now trying to get a piece of Michael Wallace there for the 3rd position. And talk about a guy who thought he had last weekend's car to beat. McLaughlin, who got caught up in a couple of accidents at Daytona. He said yesterday, hey, the car's as good again here this weekend.
I tell you a guy that's really running well too is Dale Jarrett. Now Michael caught him and I thought it was going to go around him, and Dale looked like he said, no, Mike, I think I'll move on. And he opened up a big gap on himself and Michael. So Dale's running awful well right now too.
And Randy LaJoy also on the move as well. But as we watch McLaughlin, Mike Wallace all scrambling to the front. You've got Jason Keller in car number 57 right behind. Those teams running right now in 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Keller's a very talented young race car driver. Is back in the middle of the field. Jeff Purvis in the 4 with Tim Fedua right behind him in the 40. They're working to the outside of some of the machines. And sometimes if you find where your car wants to go, God bless you. Just go on ahead.
Well, this is one of those racetracks where you can run that second groove real easy on the outside. And, you know, Eli, for whatever reason, I have seen more side-by-side racing, certainly at Daytona, and now here again today, 2 and 3 wide racing that we didn't see last year. So the fans are certainly getting their money's worth, and the drivers are putting on a great show.
Stable race cars. There's LaJoy in the 74. Doug Hevron in the 75. That's the battle for 13th spot right now. And right behind them, a good scramble. Purvis and Fedua in the 4 and the 40. They are running for 15th and 16th position.
I mean, look at that cluster of cars, and they're that way. It looks like Daytona all over again, and they're all grouped up there and just racing their hearts out.
Well, Darrell, it looks like Goodyear has really brought a great tire here because you don't see anybody getting out of shape or anything. The cars are really running quite well out there.
Well, I know at Daytona even, buddy, in the Winston Cup race and certainly on Saturday in the Busch race, the cars were so much more stable. I don't know if it's because of the tires, the aerodynamics, maybe the little bit slower speeds. I'm not sure what it is, but the cars are really, really stable.
Jason Keller in the Slim Jim machine. Mike Wallace behind him, and there's your race leader, Mark Martin. He led the first 38 laps. He reassumed the lead at lap 50 and has led the last 27 here at Rockingham. Caution is on the Speedway here in Rockingham, lap number 80, as the cars began skating up the banking of turns 1 and 2, and all of a sudden the racetrack found itself closed. There's Mark Martin now as he works himself free through that area. We were closing in on pit stops anyway, fellas, as you see the Mike Dillon machine. Steve Grissom was involved to a degree in car number 29, but there's the major problem on the racetrack right now. You can tell that the Detroit Gasket team has some significant problems. Let's see if we can tell exactly what triggered it all. 92 is Pearson, with a little shot to the caboose of Green. He's got Rumley in the 25 behind him.
Green had been backing up big time. He was out of tires, which a lot of the guys were hollering tires, and they were coming in, and he just couldn't go, and he got hit from the rear.
Lap number 80, the caution, 5th time this afternoon. What do you do in a situation like that? Do you just aim for where you hope there'll be an opening? What is there even a strategy, buddy, when you find yourself coming off a corner and the track's blocked?
Eli, you always try to go high to miss everything because it is a self-cleaning racetrack, but sometimes you get caught by going up there too because the cars will back up the racetrack. So you just take your best shot and hope it's right.
Look at the 9 car, Joe Bessie, carrying our in-car cameras. He just made a quick move to the low side of the racetrack, and he really found himself an opening, and it's paid off for him. Pit stops now. Most of these teams had hoped to go to lap 100, but they'll pit here at lap number 82. Let's go down to the pit stall of our race leader. Mark Martin is in front of Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Eli, you're exactly right. Mark brings the Winn-Dixie Ford in. They're going to change 4 tires. They were trying to go to lap 99 or lap 100 if they had to pit under green, but obviously this close, they got to take advantage of it. They're not going to make any adjustments to the car. I would hope not, as well as it's running it. Now let's go down to Randy, see where he is.
Well, I'm with Jason Keller. He's pitting dead in front of Mark Martin. They just now finished up the right side tires. He was a good distance behind as Mark squeezes by back out of the racetrack, beating Ricky Craven. The left side tires now going on Keller's car. Steve Addington and the crew working very diligently. Little deliberate pit stop here for the 57 car, being beaten out by several contenders. Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Randy, back up at this end, David Green is still in. He's going for 4 tires. Dale Jarrett was in. He got 4. Ricky Craven got 4. He came out second. Craven wanted an adjustment. They did it with tire pressure. Dale Jarrett was reporting a tight condition, particularly coming off, so they made an adjustment on his car. We'll see what shakes out now, guys.
So pit stops on both sides of this racetrack here at the Rock as everybody takes advantage of this, the 5th caution flag of the afternoon, a multi-car incident at lap number 81. Back to the Rock in a minute. We are back at the Rock as Mark Martin has been the dominant car here, but we want to show you what it looked like from within his car, the accident that took place just a few moments ago to put us under caution. He rolls it down in a hurry, doesn't he?
Eli, what would you do right now?
I would say thank you for letting the Red Sea part in front of me like that. And there we'll see exactly what you can add to it, DW.
Okay, you got the 95 car, and he'd been slowing down big time. And he's right here. And you got Pearson back here. And Pearson is expecting the 95 to go. But the 95's he's out of tires, obviously, and he can't go. And Pearson gasses his up and rams right into the back of the 95 car, gets him loose. When he does, he gets hung into him. They start spinning around, and here we go. And Joe Bessie makes a great down low. He gets by, but here's another car getting by on the inside, which is about the best place you can go right now. And all of a sudden, here comes Mark. He got slowed down enough he didn't get in trouble.
And there's old Joe Bessie. It was such a great move he made, but as he came down pit road, he had somebody else's tire get impaled into the front end of the automobile, and that's what the guys are working on right now, trying to remedy the nose of the Monte Carlo. He had a big old Goodyear Eagle just impaled there on the front of his car.
Yeah, he had his spare in the wrong place.
Well, Darrell, he has to fix that because it'll make the car push so bad if you don't have the downforce on the front of the car.
Exactly. That's something you work real hard on these cars to keep the nose from pushing.
So there's your race leader, Kevin LePage, right now, as we have a chance to bring you the AutoZone Tech Fact, brought to you by the more than 1,250 AutoZone stores across America. The best parts in auto parts.
There's been a lot of excitement about the new Pontiac Grand Prix body style. It started over in the Winston Cup garage area, but here in the Busch garage area as well. Curtis Markham finished 5th at Daytona in a Pontiac last week, but the most impressive run was made by Chad Little. He roared from 30th starting position to lead the Goodies 300. Chad, what's good about this race car?
It seems to be a well-balanced car. You know, we make some changes and it reacts to them. It's very comfortable to drive. You know, we unloaded off the trailer here for Rockingham, and it was good right off the bat. And a car that it feels like it's underneath you. It's secure, so you trust it a lot.
Well, trust is one thing a driver must have, but they're excited about this new Pontiac. It can definitely be a factor this year.
You guys have been in new cars in the past. Is there excitement and questions and apprehension all wrapped up into a new model?
Race drivers just like something different. And that's the whole thing. That gets you all excited. You think you got something nobody else has got, but that thing looks like a 58 Chevy to me. I don't know what it looks like anybody else.
All right, set to go back to green. The 71 of Kevin LePage is the leader. Now remember, he pitted back at lap number 34. He was one of a handful of teams that came in at the 34th lap, so he's on a different sequence. He also has 15-lap older tires now than the others do.
Yeah, don't forget one thing. That car was fast here last fall. He come from way back, and I don't know if he ever led the race or not, but he got to the front in a hurry.
He'll work now, trying to keep everybody at bay. Mark Martin in the 60. Right behind him, the 2 is Ricky Craven. The 60 and the 2 are the 2 machines who have led earlier in the day, if you're just tuning in. The 1 car ahead of the leaders is not on the lead lap.
3 wide down there, Eli. Woo.
Close squeeze back middle of the field.
Your car takes such a different feel once you put new tires on it. It might have been loose or might have been pushing.
Oh, a little bobble for Mark Martin, but he got the lead. Man.
That's earning it, though. I'll tell you what, he was sideways coming out of turn 4 just then. Mark Martin is not on a Sunday day cruise out here. He's having to work to get around this racetrack.
It was 3 wide a second ago as we watch everybody else try and sort themselves out back towards the front. And the leaders will be bearing down on a lapped car while David Green works the inside groove.
Well, I have a hard time watching this.
Oh Joe Bessie almost got collected just then.
Yep.
This is one of those me races. Buddy, if you don't quit poking me in the side, I can't see. I can see only 1 turn at a time.
Well, I tell you, 2 race car drivers watching a race, that's tough.
You've got Joe Bessie. We're riding with him. Just ahead of him, Dennis Setzer in the Lipton T entry.
Setzer's in all kind of trouble. He's got a damaged car, and there's really nowhere to get out of the way here because the bottom of the racetrack where you normally get out of the way and let people go is the preferred line around the racetrack, so there's nowhere to get out of the way.
That's exactly right, buddy.
Andy Hillenberg in the 52, giving everybody racing room to his inside as they work turns 1 and 2. Hillenberg's car still not quite right after problems in qualifying here yesterday that Darrell showed you at the very opening of our telecast.
You know, Hermie Sadler got a lap back there on that crash. He passed Mark Martin and got a lap back. I don't know how many laps he was down, but he got 1 up back, and he's hanging with the lead pretty good right now.
He is. He is now back behind the race leaders at this stage of the afternoon. So again has gone a lap down, but you're right. After the problems they had earlier in the number 1 machine, he's back running with a pace as good as Mark Martin and Ricky Craven.
Here we go, 3 wide, turn 1.
There you see Chad Little at the other end of the speedway as well. His car beaten and bruised. He's some 23 laps down after a stay behind the wall, but out there picking up whatever points he can. It's just the 2nd race of a long schedule that takes us all the way to November in Homestead, Florida. Meanwhile, for the lead, Ricky Craven in car number 2. He'll reassume the top spot. He had the lead from lap 39 through 49, and he'll pick it up again here at lap number 95. So Ricky Craven showing the way here as he takes the top spot from Mark Martin.
I think Mark Martin right at the moment is really running his tires a conservative run because he was running out of tires close to the 100-mile mark just a second ago. I think right now he's just sitting right there running fast enough, not abusing his tires. I think he has a lot more car than you're seeing right at the moment.
Meanwhile, Glenn Jarrett, a heck of a job by that 2-bunch all weekend long.
Oh, absolutely, Eli. And there were some anxious moments down here after his pit stop under the caution flag there. The car pushed a lot of water out on pit road. The water temperature ran up to about 225 when he stopped. They were real concerned. They had a problem. It popped the overflow hose off. But his crew chief, Kevin Caldwell, told me they thought that maybe they had just overfilled it with water. You know, he had a piece of paper stuck to him earlier on, and it caused the engine water temperature to run up a little bit. But they think the car's okay now. It's cooled back down to between 190 and 200. He should be A-okay.
Ken Wilson builds a pretty stout power plant also, and that's what Ricky's carrying with him. There you see the 34 machine, the Royal Oak colors for Mike McLaughlin. And right behind him, Dale Jarrett, the winner of the Daytona 500 a weekend ago, winner of the Busch Clash, and the man who could well have won the Goodies 300. John Irvin and the boys doing a super job getting the 32 car ready for Mr. Jarrett.
Well, that's some fast company right there.
Isn't it?
I was just looking at Mike Waltrip there in the 12 car. He's following up this bunch of cars that are racing right here. But I got to tell you something. I think Michael Waltrip has one of the fastest cars out there. But the track position has just killed him all day.
Yeah, he's pitting on the back straightaway, and he lost about 5. There was about 5 cars there he had passed before that caution came out. So he's got to take his time, and he'll be okay.
This pack of cars we're looking at is 1 7/10 seconds behind the race leader, Ricky Craven. So that gives you a point of reference as Dennis Setzer has taken his car to the garage area here on the main straightaway. So he'll be the second retiree behind Jimmy Kitchens, who parked his car earlier. But that's a good scramble that we've been watching, and now back at the front. Craven's got the lead. Certainly can't shake Mark Martin, but it's a steady battle right now.
Eli, I just had a report that Mark Martin can't talk to his pit crew. He's lost communication with his radio, so later on that might come to play.
You never tell. How'd they do that in the olden days, Buddy Baker, when they didn't have radios?
Well, I run quite a bit without radios, and that was hand signals and a blackboard. We used chalk and a blackboard. A lot of times you'd read that blackboard and get in a lot of trouble running back of cars and stuff.
I saw that happen at Daytona one year. Donnie Allison hit the back of somebody leading the Daytona 500 right near the end of the race.
I said, what were you doing? I said, I was reading the blackboard.
That's right. They were trying to communicate.
Lap number 102 of 197. The leader is car number 2, Ricky Craven. Mark Martin right behind him. Not over yet. Far from it here at the Rock. Mark Martin, the new leader here, the Goodwrench 200. He has led 4 times today for 80 laps, made the power move going into the corner and blew by Ricky Craven just past the start-finish line. Let's take a look at exactly how he got the lead. I think it was kind of worrying Ricky to death there for a while.
Yeah, I think he was just sitting there saying, I'm going to wear this boy's tires out, and then when I get ready to go, I'm just going to drop down underneath them off turn 4, swoop low down the front straightaway and carry it into turn 1. And reclaim what was already his.
So Mark Martin back atop the field. That was at lap number 105. We are now at lap 109. As you see the front 2, I think a significant story is, though, that Dale Jarrett, you see him in 3rd as part of our Napa update, and he is beginning to close in on the racetrack among these front 2 cars.
I think that might be what happened. I think Mark Martin might have looked in the mirror and saw Jarrett coming up and said, you know, I better check out of here because Dale Jarrett has been really running well in this car.
This field standing update being brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. At Napa, we keep America running. Right now, at this stage of the afternoon, only a couple of teams officially out of the event. Jimmy Kitchens and Dennis Setzer have gone to the garage area. Larry Pearson is seemingly down just a bit out there. The car not getting around this racetrack as well as it was earlier. Of course, if you lose a cylinder in a 6-banger, it's a whole lot more noticeable than if you drop one in a Winston Cup car.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
Let's go to Randy Pemberton.
Well, no problem with the engine for Pearson. When he showed up at Rockingham, he didn't even want to be here. He cannot stand this racetrack. He just wanted to ride around, maybe get a 20th and then come out of here with a good race car. That was not to be. They had plenty of damage on the right front, bent the upper and lower control arm on the right front. They tried to set the toe end, the caster's off on it, the camber's off on it. So Pearson's just going to ride it out. They did the best they could with it, but not to be for him today. They're going to have to wait to go on to Richmond.
It's too bad. His last few finishes here, I can understand why he's not totally enamored with the place. He's finished 23rd, 21st, 35th, 32nd, 21st, and did not qualify. Those are the numbers here for Larry Pearson at this racetrack. Jason Keller in the 57, trying to draw alongside Mike Wallace and bring the 12, Michael Waltrip, along with him. Oh, Michael's running a steady race.
Yeah, he is. Him and Mike Wallace, the two Mikes here, were having a heck of a battle, and Jason Keller slid by both of them, and Keller's going pretty quick right now.
That's the battle for 7th place on the racetrack, behind the race leader, Mark Martin. Keller holding down that position.
Now, that's a car that got, beat up a little bit there in qualifying, but he just tore the back of that car, kind of backed it up in the fence, and they were able to get it back in pretty good order, unlike the 52, who I'm surprised he's even out there.
We've got Michael Waltrip, Mike Wallace, Todd Bodine next in line, and that scramble for position going back into the turn. All the while, the race lead still held by Mark Martin as we watch 6th place on back. At the front, Mark trying to pull away just a bit, 0.8 of a second now over 2nd place.
32, Jarrett is coming to the front. He's closing in on the 2 car right now as we speak, and I believe he's the fastest car out there, and I think he's going to be able to get up there and race Martin in just a short order.
Good look at the MW Windows entry for Michael Waltrip, his own operation.
Yeah, he's excited about that. He's apprehensive and excited, and I kind of know how he feels.
Yeah. As Darrell mentioned, that's the battle shaping up for 2nd now. Ricky Craven in the 2, and Dale Jarrett, a former Busch Series winner here at Rockingham. He is running now in 3rd spot. We're told he might be the quickest car on the racetrack.
You can see why he's fast. He's running right on the white line. He's about a half a car length lower than the rest of the cars are able to run in the middle part of the corner. So he's really hooked up, and Dale Jarrett's on the move towards the front. I say in the next 15, 20 laps, you're going to see him racing for the lead.
Plus, a while ago, before that caution came out, when Mark was starting to complain about his tires, Dale Jarrett was closing in on Mark at that time, like Dale's car might have been a little easier on tires. So I believe Dale's holding a trump card right now.
Well, B, as the opening could be there. Craven, you saw him slip up the banking just the least little bit, and Dale Jarrett doesn't need any more of an invitation than that.
No, Craven will let him go because he doesn't want to get himself in a position like what happened to Buckshot Jones earlier, where he could take them both out by being in the wrong place.
So now the story is, can the man from whose car we are looking, Mark Martin, hold off a hard-charging Dale Jarrett? We'll find out when we come back to Rockingham in just a moment. Welcome back to Rockingham. Lap 124 on the board of 197. Mark Martin continues to lead, but he is not the fastest car in the racetrack. The Band-Aid colors for the 32 machine of Dale Jarrett, clearly the quick car. If you're a Dennis Setzer fan, he's back on the track 20 laps down. Otherwise, just Jimmy Kitchens and Randy Porter in the garage area. Let's go down to Glenn Jarrett. He's down in Dale Jarrett's pit area.
Well, they made an adjustment under the caution period when you made that pit stop, John. You told me it was a little tight, but obviously you fixed it. What'd you do to it?
We took a little, adjust our track bar a little bit.
In the wall. In the wall.
Car.
Dale Jarrett in the wall, just as we were hearing the comments from John Irvin, and we are under caution. Caution at lap number 126. The man who was closing in to grab the lead here at Rockingham finds himself in the wall.
Going by a lap car, and he got tagged just a teeny bit going in there, and up he went. He couldn't save it.
The other car involved was the 02 machine that Michael Rich qualified. It was started by Rodney Combs, then Michael Rich aboard in that Lance East Carolina University machine. But what a hard, how do you guys handle that? I mean, that's, as Jarrett, you see, goes to the garage area. How in the world do you handle just that kind of instant, abject disappointment?
Darrell goes to church a lot, and that's why.
Yeah,
you have to have a lot of faith, I'll tell you, to make it through and not really get mad about a situation like that.
It's Joe Bessie that actually.
Well, actually, the car even seemed to just break right loose. We'll have to take a look at it again. I don't know if Joe launched him or not.
He did. I was looking dead at it. and he just barely nerfed him, but it's just so hard to get in that corner on the outside.
Well, before we take a look at the incident again, let's cover pit stops. This will throw all the fuel and tire questions out the window, but the pressure's on the pit crews, Randy.
You're exactly right, Eli, because there were a couple of guys out there that could go the distance. Mark Martin was not one of them. So if this thing went green, chances are he was not going to win this race. 6 rounds on the track bar Mark has asked for. So right side tires going around to the left. Hitting in front of him is the Slim Jim car, the 57 car of Jason Keller. The left sides are on for Mark. The Cat car pitting behind him. Mark with a great pit stop for these guys so far. Down to the way, but he gets beat by Mike McLaughlin.
Super pit work up and down the pit lane, but let's also mention that one man who has not made a pit stop is Jeff Green. He was one of the last men to stop in the earlier sequence, and he drives for the Dale and Teresa Earnhardt car and has not made a pit stop. There you saw Ricky Craven and a few others who have pulled away, so little gambling going on, guys.
Yeah, either he's going to come in the pits. He's got to. I don't know,
here he comes
what his strategy would have been there otherwise.
Here he's coming in right now, so he and Kevin LePage and a few of the others will make their pit stops now at lap number 130. So everything will cycle on around, and a good bit of work down on the pit lane. Mike McLaughlin takes the lead, lap number 129 for those of you keeping tab along with us. Let's take a look and see if we can find out exactly what happened to Dale Jarrett. Here's an in-car view from the Joe Bessie machine. Let's see what happens, guys.
Well, there goes Mark Martin down into the corner, and here comes Dale Jarrett, and he just
you called
barely.
You called it.
You know, that's where you expect a guy to give you a break. You're racing for the lead, and you need a break, and it's hard to. You can't blame either guy for what happened. It just wish it hadn't happened.
So Mike McLaughlin is the new leader of the Goodwrench 200, working lap number 130. Just 67 revolutions remain. Today's exclusive TNN coverage of the Goodwrench 200 is brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. At Napa, we keep America running. And by Royal Star by Yamaha. The cruising spirit lives. A look from high above the North Carolina Motor Speedway. The fine folks at Steel bringing you today's terrific shots from the helicopter. Steel, makers of a full line of leaf blowers, trimmers, and the #1 selling brand of chainsaws worldwide. Let's take a look at the top 10 running order right now. During this caution period, Mike McLaughlin inheriting the lead. There you see the other top 10s. Michael Waltrip in 6th position. Jeff Purvis started 10th. That's where he's running. One name that's not there, Jason Keller. Remember, folks, he was 5th before the stop. He has come out onto the track 14th. We'll try and get an update if we can from down on the pit lane, but that's one man who has dropped from the scene. As we look at the race leader, Mike McLaughlin, the field should get the 1 to go signal here in just a moment or so. Very talented young race car driver.
Oh, I agree. And, you know, he beat Mark out of the pit because Mark and they worked on their car just a little bit. And it's not a lot. He had to adjust the track bar, but that's enough to slow you down. And that's how Mike beat him out of the pit. Mike's got a fast car. He won Dover, you know, and this is a track very similar to Dover. So wouldn't count him out.
Don't forget, folks, join us tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern Time, right here at The Rock for coverage of the NASCAR Winston Cup Series, the Goodwrench 400. Terry Labonte on the Busch pole. Begins 12 noon right here on TNN Motorsports. It doesn't get any closer. Hope you can join us tomorrow afternoon.
You know, by the same token, Eli, there's a car, the 60 car was leading the race. And, you know, Dale Jarrett was closing, but still Mark had the lead. He elected to work on that car. So it shows you that even though as good as he was, he could have been better, I guess, in his mind anyway.
7 lead changes among 4 drivers as we get set to go back to green. Mark Martin has led the most laps. He's led 4 times today for 101 laps, and we are wrapping up our 6th caution of the day. 32 laps have been under the yellow. Waiting for the green. Lap 134 going up on the board of 197. And on the restart now, the field heads back off into turn number 1. The leader is the 34 of McLaughlin. Other cars around him on the tail end of the lead lap.
You're riding with Mark Martin there as they started off the corner there. Mark got a good start. I don't think McLaughlin got a great start on that restart. He's the second car on the left up there. And he's, you see Mark though, he's caught in behind lap traffic right at the moment.
Good 3-wide scramble. You've got Ricky Craven in the 2 car in the middle. Bobby Labonte in the 44 to the inside, and everybody gives a little room now to the outside. You had everybody using their heads there on the restart.
Yeah, well, you had some lap cars there, the 3 and the 1 and the 29. They were all trying to get a lap back, and so they were in the front of the field. And that's bottled things up just a teeny bit here.
All of this taking place just about a second behind the race leader, as Mike McLaughlin continues to show the way.
A little smoke out of Jeremy Mayfield's car there as he started off in turn 1.
Down the back straightaway. And everybody trying to stake out a little position for themselves. Andy Hillenberg in the 52. The 63 on the high stride of the racetrack. That's Curtis Markham. He's running in 13th position on the lead lap. Markham is. There you see the race leader now, bypassing some of the slower cars as Nathan Butke has taken his car to the garage area. He'll join Jimmy Kitchens and Randy Porter as those officially out of the event, along, of course, with Dale Jarrett.
You know, Eli, we've been talking about Mark Martin, but there's a car right now.
Trouble up in the corner. That would be Johnny Rumley's machine. Just broke loose. And caution on the Speedway yet again.
1, 2, 3 cars are going to get a lap back here.
What I was going to tell you is Randy LaJoy is running super good in 2nd place.
And there you see some more spins off the corner as coming back to the stripe, Steve Grissom ahead of the race leader, Mike McLaughlin. And we are under caution. The car that first broke loose was back in 22nd position. That was the Johnny Rumley automobile. He was running a lap down. You see some of the cars that got pieces of it. There's Rumley's car with significant damage. Derek Cope's machine, number 26. Left side, left front damage most significantly. You're not going to get a pristine car out of Rockingham anyway.
Probably not. And, you know, on these restarts, you get all grouped up again. And some guys' cars are handling good and some guys' cars aren't. And you get them all bunched up and somebody gets hit.
So Mike McLaughlin is the race leader under caution here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. 17 cars on the lead lap at lap 139. Commercial transportation for this broadcast has been provided by Ryder, the official transportation company for Opryland. Welcome back to the Rock, lap 141 of 197. Let's backtrack a bit to what happened moments ago. Johnny Rumley, the cause for this caution. Car just breaks on loose and impacts the wall. And that brought out the caution for the 7th time. But, fellas, I think what's most significant is what happened behind Johnny Rumley. Let's see. This is where all the other guys got caught up.
Yeah, it's kind of a chain reaction thing, you know. You see something happen, somebody slows down, somebody doesn't, and it causes a bigger problem yet.
Yeah, one car slowed down, then Tim Fedewa came in, didn't slow quite as much in car number 40, and that's what caused the other machines. But we're set to go back to green. Lap 143 will go up on the board. Mike McLaughlin is the race leader. His best finishes in the 4 prior events here, 13th place in both of the races a season ago. Let's see if he can keep people behind him. The 3 machine trying to get a lap back, couldn't quite do it on the jump.
Yeah, those lap cars, I'm telling you, they drive you crazy when you're leading the race and trying to watch the competition and watch them too.
Everybody just holding their position now. McLaughlin keeping his eye on the rear view mirror. Randy LaJoy in the 74. Remember, he's the guy who started back in a provisional spot in 41st position. And here he is trying to grab a piece of the lead. That car is stout.
It is. It's really running up the straightaway.
They're going side by side down into turn 3. You can see right now that Randy LaJoy has a little bit faster car right up off the corner here, Darrell. He pulls him about a half a car length. You see Mark Martin tucked right up under him. He's going to make the move on McLaughlin now as they go down in the corner.
And LaJoy likes this racetrack because over the years he has finished 9th, 4th, 8th, 7th. We'll toss that one out for good measure. But Randy LaJoie, who again, they have really worked all week long on their race setup. Steve Bird, the crew chief, told me yesterday, I'm not worrying about a qualifying setup. We'll run with what our race setup works like. And here it kind of starts kicking in on this warmish afternoon.
Yeah, a lot of times you hear guys say that because they didn't qualify very well, and so they'll tell you that. In this case, I think it might be true.
That's been the MO, if you will, of Steve Bird. Of course, that car has run well here in the past, regardless of who's been on at the steering wheel.
The best I recall, he come across his start-finish line and could have won the race. He was lost by about an inch, if I remember right here in the fall.
So right now, as Randy LaJoie shows the way, driver from Norwalk, Connecticut.
Let me clarify that. The car, he.
The car, right, with Johnny
driver,
Benson. Johnny Benson at the wheel of that machine. On pit road, Tim Fedewa's crew going to work on his machine as Mark Martin watched the lead. He said, fellas, you've had your chance to talk about LaJoie. Now I'll take the lead back. Thank you.
Yeah, he got that track bar right where he wants it.
They were thrashing on that Winn-Dixie car earlier, but he'll reassume the lead. Lap 147. Mark Martin again atop the leaderboard here at Rockingham.
Yeah, and I think that the way Mark's car has been and the way the tires have gone, I think he's probably going to hold on from here on out.
Darrell, you see the number 2 car there of Ricky Craven moving in also. I think Randy LaJoie's car may be just a little bit tight. In the early parts of the run, you see Ricky Craven there in the number 2. He's catching LaJoie as we speak.
Well, there's nobody out there that will drive a car any harder than Randy LaJoie. He puts the pedal to the metal, and if it'll get up there and get any part of Mark Martin, it's going to be his.
And that's all you can ask for from your race car and from your driver. LaJoie in the 74, behind him Ricky Craven in car number 2. The 3 machine, that's David Green, and if you're just tuning in, folks, he is a lap down. He's being shown back in about 19th position right now at last check, but he is being shown 1 lap down. Lap number 150 up on the board right now. 47 remain. Field working back into the corner. Just tuning in, 7 caution flags today. The first as early as lap number 5, the most recent at lap number 139. And Mark Martin continues to pace the field. Randy LaJoie behind him by about 7 car lengths, 3 car lengths back to Ricky Craven in 3rd. Today's exclusive TNN coverage of the Goodwrench 200 is brought to you by Pep Boys. 26,000 items at the guaranteed low price. Tires and service, everything but gas. Welcome back to Rockingham. We are under caution. Patty Moise really tags the wall coming out of turn number 4. There you see her climbing from the machine at lap number 155. This is the very first race that her dad is not watching today. Hospitalized for some heart checks, and we certainly wish the very best there. Obviously, Patty is okay, but not the same for the race cars. She is done for the afternoon, joining Jimmy Kitchens, Randy Porter, Nathan Butke, Dale Jarrett, and now Patty Moise in the garage area. So working caution at lap number 154. We're live at Rockingham, heading to the finish of the Goodwrench 200. Back with you at the North Carolina Motor Speedway under caution for the 8th time this afternoon. Looking down from our Steel aerial camera, all the folks from Steel bringing you to the great shots out of the helicopter. Steel, powerful, easy to use, and durable. Qualities you can depend on. It's Steel territory. You know, Darrell Waltrip won himself a Steel a year ago. Also want to remind you that highway transportation provided by Cedar Ridge RV Center, Branchville, New Jersey, featuring Winnebago Motorhomes. Call 1-800-988-4884 and find out why Cedar Ridge is the choice of champions. Welcome back to the Rock, everybody, with Darrell Waltrip, Buddy Baker, Glenn Jarrett, Randy Pemberton, and our cast of thousands. I'm Eli Gold. Hope you're enjoying the Goodwrench 200. We're within shouting distance of the finish, and Mark Martin's probably saying he can't get here too soon.
No, he's doing a great job, which he always does here. And I just want to say hello to my family at home. We've had a tragic week, our dog Prissy passed away this week, and Sarah and Jessica and Stevie, we've mourned that all week, and then Stevie's dad's been suffering, and we've been praying a lot for him, so we want to say hi to him too. I know they're listening, and Mom and Dad, glad you're on.
Glad you're on as well. Darrell Waltrip set to go racing. He is tomorrow in the Goodwrench 400. Right now, though, we're going to break away for a moment while the track cleanup continues. Mark Martin pacing the field under yellow at lap 159. Welcome back, everyone, as we get set to go green here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. You've got Mark Martin still showing the way. Randy LaJoie, Ricky Craven is third. Mike McLaughlin being shown in the fourth spot. Michael Waltrip is fifth. Terry Labonte will restart sixth. David Green will go seventh. Eighth will be Jeff Purvis ahead of ninth place Todd Bodine. And rounding out the top 10 will be Michael Wallace. That's how we go back to green at lap number 161.
We need to watch this stay drive where they just put that down on the outside, particularly those lap cars. So shouldn't be any problem, but just keep an eye on it.
Green flag is in the air, and here we go with the restart. And like he did early in the day, Mark Martin, as we say back home in Alabama, has just gotten gone.
Yeah, it's pretty much showtime, I think, for Mark. You know, it's time to go.
Randy LaJoie holding down the second spot. Ricky Craven in third. There you see them and the interval, but all of that space built up in just the span of 1.017 miles around this racetrack.
Eli, you can see the number 2 of Ricky Craven taking a look to the inside of LaJoie. I think he knows that LaJoie is maybe holding him up just a little bit. I would look for him to make a try to pass him pretty quick here.
Well, Randy's going to make that car as wide as he can. No gimmies at this stage. The next car in line, Kevin LePage, he is not on the lead lap. He's the first car a lap down, an 18th spot. You see Mike McLaughlin in the 34. He is on the lead lap, having to dispense with a couple of the lap machines and still hasn't quite got the clear shot at the leaders. The 3, that's 19th place now for Jeff Green. I believe I'd called him David Green earlier. 3 greens in the field today. Third time that's happened in a NASCAR Busch Series race, as McLaughlin now works to the inside of the Jeff Green car. Again, McLaughlin is on the lead lap. The 3 is not. The 98 is not. The 98 is Jeremy Mayfield.
The 3 is, he's trying so hard to stay up there and have a shot at getting that lap back, but he just doesn't have a car to do it with, doesn't look like. But the Green boys have fared fairly well today, I'd say. You know, they both, all 3 of them have run decent at times.
I'd say Bobby Labonte there in the 44 would like for them to quit racing side by side because he wants to get up there and maybe take a chance at winning this race.
You see the field going by on the upper left of the screen. The field update brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. At Napa, we keep America running. And we are running at lap number 166 of 197. That's a good battle for 10th spot right there. The 75 machine, he is not on the lead lap in that pack. That's Doug Hevron in 23rd, but you've got other machines that are. Mike Wallace in the 90, he is on the lead lap. The 10, that's Phil Parsons. Haven't talked much about Phil today. The 57 was Jason Keller, and meanwhile back at second spot, Ricky Craven in the 2, Randy LaJoie in the 74. As the laps begin to wind down, Craven's getting a little antsy.
Rightfully so. He sees Mark kind of motoring away, and he'd like to do what he can about that. And
here we go down the front straightaway. You see Ricky Craven making a move on the inside as they turn into turn 1. Randy just let him go.
Yeah, but all of this is 1.03 seconds, just a tick over a second behind the race leader Mark Martin. And you're right. After a while, you have to start forcing the issue with the laps winding down.
You really do, especially as strong as Mark has been all day long. You can't let him get too much further away from him.
McLaughlin is clear now in 4th spot. Then you've got 3 lapped cars ahead of 5th place Bobby Labonte. 6th place is where Michael Waltrip is running now. As we watch positions 2 and 3. Once Craven got by, you see the interval he's already built over Randy LaJoie.
You know, Darrell, that's one thing about this racetrack. Somebody can be running a little bit slower than you, but if he's running that preferred line, it's awfully tough to make the move.
Yeah, you just don't have that much more horsepower than somebody else, unless, of course, you're Mark Martin, and then you might.
11th and 12th place. The 90, Mike Wallace. The 57, Jason Keller. The lapped car to their inside, that was Derek Cope. His car beaten and bruised here this afternoon from an earlier problem.
Well, Michael, I've been watching him, and there he is in the white car, M&W. He was running pretty well, and he decided to move up on the racetrack, and he's starting to lose a bunch of positions.
44, that's Bobby Labonte. The 3 again is a lapped car, Jeff Green. The 4 machine, Jeff Purvis, he's running in 7th spot. A super run for the fellow who, as Buddy told you, lost his way to the racetrack here on Friday. Hadn't been here since '89 when he came here along with the late Neil Bonnet. He said, heck, I just forgot where the racetrack was, but he sure as heck has zeroed in here today.
You know, he has really, really matured into quite a good race car driver. At Daytona, couldn't ask for anybody better. At Daytona and Talladega, now these short tracks, and got someone win the Snowball Derby, he won Nashville. That team has really been on a tear of late.
And they're going to run for the NASCAR Busch Series Championship here in 1996. So we'll be seeing much of Jeff Purvis here on TNN throughout the season. 173 laps on the board of 197. No change at the very front. It's still Mark Martin by just over a second. So that's a good scramble there for the Randy LaJoie, Mike McLaughlin spot. That'll be for 3rd. LaJoie has it. McLaughlin wants it.
You talk about a car handling down the straightaway. Now that thing on McLaughlin's will fly. He just pulled over on LaJoie there and he tried to make the move, but as you said, Darrell, there's nobody that tries any harder than Randy LaJoie does on the racetrack.
He's giving you 110% all the time. I've always been impressed with his determination.
Clyde McLeod, the crew chief. They use Hutter engines in that number 34. And LaJoie finally has to yield.
Not yet.
All right, now LaJoie finally has to yield.
There's Hutter, I think Hutter power in that 34 car, as well as in the 4 car of Purvis. I think that's Hutter power too.
175 on the board of 197.
Yeah, Michael's got himself in a real predicament here. He's moved up on the racetrack. He was outrunning all these guys.
I think it's a 12.
Yeah, in the 12 car. I think his car got the pushing on him, and he's had to try to find another line, and it's really not paying off for him.
Terry Labonte is in the 5 machine. The 75 is Doug Hevron. Now, Terry Labonte is on the lead lap. Hevron is not. And you're right, Michael's kind of worked himself into a jam there and nowhere to go.
No, I know it's not making him happy.
Mark Martin has led 5 times today for 129 laps, as you see the scramble that we were talking about moments ago. 9 lead changes among 5 drivers. 17 cars still on the lead lap. We have had 8 caution periods for 43 laps, and only 7 cars are in the garage area. Among them, Jimmy Kitchens, Dennis Setzer, Randy Porter, Nathan Butke, Dale Jarrett, Patty Moise, and Buckshot Jones, the retirees.
Boy, that was a power move just then. Terry Labonte's a very good race car driver here. Doug Hevron passed him on the outside there.
Yeah, Terry really had, looks like his car's been tight all day too. He just hadn't been able to run as quick as he had he'd like to.
Hevron's in 20th, a lap down. That's car 75. But you're right, all of a sudden they seem to have found the combination.
Well, you know, it could be too. When you're a lap down, you could have had tires. You got tires maybe when somebody else didn't, since you're already a lap down. So that could be a factor.
There you see Bobby Labonte in the 44, the 4 of Purvis, Randy LaJoie in the 74. That's the battle now for 4th, 5th, and 6th position.
You got to be
Labonte making a heck of a run here late.
Yeah, you got to be impressed with Bobby. I mean, he has worked his way right up to the front, and you know, Purvis too. They both have run great races here today.
17 laps remaining. We're not showing you the leader at the moment because Mark Martin is just kind of pulling away into the sunset. We've not forgotten about him, but we'll get an interval here at the start-finish line for you. His lead over Craven is now 1 7/10 seconds, so we'll keep you informed of anything with the front cars. But there goes Purvis now inside of Labonte. As we look from our steel camera, high above the Speedway aboard the helicopter.
Mark has always had a great setup for here, for this particular racetrack, and I guess I've stood up here in this booth and watched him win 5 or 6 of these races, and he always does it with ease. The race that he lost here last fall was, it was kind of a shock to me that he lost.
Mark is in traffic now, going around Mark Green in the 37. But you're right, a man who has won here 5 times, as Mark Martin has. And he's patient, too, and he has. And, of course, with this kind of with 1 7/10 seconds, you can pick and choose.
Yeah, you can.
Darrell, that was always my favorite thing, is to look in the mirror and see everybody else on the racetrack behind me.
You know what's the best sound now? The best thing today, though, is when your spotter says, you're 1 7/10 and pulling away.
That's what old Mark Martin is hearing right now in his
Cha-ching.
Dixie Ford.
Cha-ching.
Man comes complete with his own sound effects library.
Pay that tire bill and keep it getting it.
There you see the spread from first to 5th position. 184 laps of 197, and then the final 13 laps around the Speedway. Don't forget, tomorrow, 12 noon, we'll have NASCAR Winston Cup coverage from here at the Rock for you on TNN Motorsports. The Goodwrench 400, Terry Labonte on the Busch pole. He's running an 8th right now here in this race.
You know, Eli, I'm watching Mark Martin right now. He's not actually pulling away from Ricky Craven. Ricky Craven's holding his own right now. He lost a little bit of time trying to work through lap traffic just a while ago, but he seems to be running just as fast as Mark Martin at the moment.
Well, Mark's being extremely careful, buddy, and the laps are running out. I think even if Ricky caught him, I don't believe he could do anything with him.
Well, I think the whole deal is Ricky Craven look in the mirror and see McLaughlin's really closing in there in 3rd place, so we're going to have a race for positions here pretty quick.
There you see David Green to the inside of the 74 of Randy LaJoie. They battle for position here. LaJoie having backslid from his 2nd spot a short while ago. Actually led for a couple of laps, lap 145 and lap 146. David Green, very patient here. Won the Busch pole here in February of last year.
The 2 cars that are really kind of backed up is my brother there, Michael. He's backed up a lot, and the 74 car is really
Michael's
struggling.
running in 9th now.
I mean, he's had a good run, but I know it's not what he expected.
Right now for Mark Martin, it's just wait for the laps to go on by. Still looking at 1 7/10 seconds. There he is. Car's just handling so well. That's the other key too. He's got that Roush power plant, which is enough of an edge, but the car's not been off the low side of the track all day. It really looks like Bobby Leslie and the boys did a heck of a job setting that car up.
Yep, left tire on the white line. He's got the white line fever.
Good battle for 2nd place now. McLaughlin on the 34 has caught Ricky Craven, and he will try and zoom right by, and does, heading back into turn number 1. So Mike McLaughlin, young man who, if you talk to the fellas in the garage area and say, aside from yourselves, who might win the championship in the NASCAR Busch Series this year, you'll get more McLaughlin answers than you will from most anybody else.
I'll tell you one thing, Mark Martin better look in the mirror and see who's coming up here. He's not going to be able to ride around there and conserve anything in just a second or 2.
7 laps to go.
Yeah, time's a big factor now. Mark is just not overly concerned, I don't think.
Get the stopwatch going. 1st to 2nd now, 1 4/10 seconds. 1.44 to be exact.
This is kind of like keeping it close.
Yep. There's Mark Martin, the leader. And here comes McLaughlin, that red and yellow machine right behind him. Ricky Craven in the 2. He is backslid to 3rd spot. Jeff Purvis is in 4th, and 5th is Bobby Labonte. David Green now in the 6th position. Randy LaJoie is in 7th if you're just joining us. Terry Labonte is in the 8th spot. 9th is Todd Bodine, a good run, and Jason Keller now in 10th. Inside of 5 miles remaining now.
Yeah, Michael, he continues to go backwards there.
Yeah, Todd Bodine in the 81 will pick up a spot, as will Jason Keller.
You know, Eli, lap traffic is going to come into play here, and Mark is getting into a lot of the back markers right now. He's got to be very, very careful.
Well, he goes slowly around the Jim Bound machine. Bound staying low, giving him all the room he needs. Time just on the side of Mark Martin now. Plus, he's still got as strong of a car as has McLaughlin around Johnny Rumley in the 25, who had problems earlier in the race, you'll remember. He won't force the issue. Mark will find the place to pass around Larry Pearson.
This is a politically correct way to run this race.
Oh, my. Have you learned a lot today, Eli, from this man right here?
It has been an eye-opener, to say the very least. There's 7th and 8th place now, the 74 LaJoy. 8th is the 5-car Terry Labonte. 9th belongs to the 57 Jason Keller. As they come out of turn number 4 and head back to the stripe, but inside of 2 laps to go for Mark Martin, looking for his 6th NASCAR Busch Series win here at the Rock.
Jason Keller has just really turned the wick up in these last few laps. White flag.
White flag is out for Mark Martin, the Winn-Dixie Ford. Mike McLaughlin gave it a heck of a run. He'll come shy in the 2nd spot. Report from pit road is that Ricky Craven has lost a cylinder. Hence, he is now backslid to 4th spot. There you see him just ahead of Jeremy Mayfield in the 98. But out of turn number 4 to the stripe and the checkered flag for Mark Martin, 6th time he has taken the NASCAR Busch Series race here at the Rock. What does it mean for tomorrow? Well, only 11 times in history has a Winston Cup driver won Saturday in a Busch race and come back to win Sunday in the Winston Cup race. Mark will try and make that an even dozen come tomorrow afternoon. When we come back, we'll head to Victory Lane with the winner of today's Goodwrench 200. Mark Martin joins us as soon as we come back. Back with you at the North Carolina Motor Speedway, Mark, Arlene, and the family in Victory Lane. Glenn Jarrett.
Well, Eli, that's Matt holding up the number 1 finger, and we're going to talk to Mark here. Great day for the 60th time. Oh, excuse me, 6th time. It seems like 60 times. I'll talk to you in Victory Lane so many times, Mark. Another awesome day for the Winn-Dixie Ford.
I tell you what, I really got to thank the guys at Roush Racing and all the engine shop. We had an awesome engine today. I missed the chassis setup just a little bit, but I had so much engine today, it just pulled us through. And I tell you what, I can't wait to go to Atlanta with an engine like that.
Well, I saw you one time there, I guess on about the 2nd pit stop that you made under caution. You really went to cranking on the track bar. Did that really help the car make a big difference?
Not enough. You know, if those guys had been on the money a little bit better, they could have beat me today. We were loose and, you know, could only run a certain speed and didn't have to slow down much, but I couldn't go real fast. And thank goodness these other guys went off their tires worse than I did. And after a while, I could just cruise.
All right, I'm going to put Darrell Waltrip on the hot seat a little bit. He said during the telecast, he said, well, sometimes if you get to racing Mark pretty hard, and he'll back off and let you go. And if you know he can run with you, what do you got to say about that?
Darrell, you're fun. Hey, Darrell, was I using one hand today? Did you notice? I can't remember if I drove with one or two.
We're going to let him. We're going to let him celebrate for a little while. Mark Martin, his wife Arlene, and his number 1 son Matt holding up that victorious number 1 sign he was today. Eli?
He really was, and I'm sure DW would have had an appropriate response, but he is already scampering down to get set to practice his Western Auto car here in just a few moments. Don't forget, following our broadcast today, stay tuned for Motor Trend Television right here on TNN Motorsports. Mark Martin, another top finish. He's had 12 top 10s in 16 races here at the Rock. Welcome back, everyone, to the North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. The Goodwrench 200 on the side of Mark Martin here this afternoon. Some other fine stories unfolded throughout the course of the day, including one from that man. Mike McLaughlin started 20th, came home in 2nd spot. Let's go and check in with Randy.
Well, Mike, people are talking about you. They're talking championship. They talked about you last week at Daytona, having a good run, and you spoiled it. But this week, had a nice, solid finish, almost a victory. Congratulations to you.
Thank you very much, Randy. I just have to hand it off to the Royal Oak crew. I mean, they did a great job all day. We made a lot of changes before the race. We weren't real happy. The changes were a plus. They did a great job in the pits, got me out leading. Actually, you know, we weren't as good on a longer run, or on a sticker run, but on a long run we were better. But I'm just real happy for everybody involved.
How much momentum can this give a team of your caliber to come out of this race? And I know you gained a bunch of points today.
It's all momentum. You know, we were disappointed with Daytona last week, but we still had some momentum because we run good. And we brought it here today, and we weren't afraid to make changes when needed, and just happy for everybody involved. Royal Oak Charcoal and Jackaroo Barbie Sauce. We've got a lot of depth in this team, and I believe we're going to show it all year.
No question about it. He showed it here today. Eli?
Second is his best finish ever here. His previous best was 13th from Mike McLaughlin. How about old Jeff Purvis? Dialed this racetrack right in, buddy.
I'll tell you, he might have been the fastest car right near the end of the race, but he had bad track position after his last pit stop. But you know the nice part, Eli? He's going to run all the races this year.
Right. Other top finishers, you see your top 21 through 30. Joe Bessie carrying our camera today down to 28th position. Jeremy Mayfield lost a number of laps early. And then you see now some of the cars that were caught up in accidents that sent them into the garage area. Would have been interesting to see how well Dale Jarrett had done had he been able to stick around. But how about Jeff Purvis, third place in his race here today? Let's go down and hear from the man from Clarksville, Tennessee.
Jeff Purvis, you ought to get lost to coming to racetracks all the time. Boy, you weren't lost out there today. A gregreat performance from you and your entire team.
Well, this team really did do good. You know, this, as everybody knows, this team's unsponsored, and we're looking for a sponsor. But, yeah, this Phoenix racing team brought me out there, and they got me, you know, they gave me a great race car. Every time I was in the pits, I'd get out, you know, right with the leaders, and they made the car better all day long. So, you know, they know what they're doing, and we had a good race today.
How about your performance as a race car driver? You've bounced around in different series, been successful, tried the Cup. Now you're here trying to make a charge at a championship. Are you ready as a driver?
I think so. You know, I learned a lot through all the bouncing around I did, and you know, we want to focus on one thing. We're going to run a few Winston Cup races along the way. We're going to run 6 or 8 of those, but you know, this team, like I said, is unsponsored right now. We're going to run every race, no matter what, and we're going to show them that we've got a good race team right here.
If anybody's got some loose change out there, they might want to get on this car. They're going to be one to be reckoned with all year long. Congratulations, Jeff.
Thank you.
No doubt about it. Jeff Purvis, James Finch, and all the crew. Don't forget, coming up at 6 o'clock tonight, we'll take your phone calls on Race Talk. Kenny Schrader is going to be our guest. It is live and right here on TNN Motorsports this evening at 6 from here at the track. Mark Martin, the winner. More from The Rock in a moment. Welcome back to The Rock, everybody. And there's a man who I'm sure has a big old smile on his face. Started 41st, came up to lead, settles for a 7th place finish. Randy LaJoy, let's go down and chat with him and Glenn Jarrett.
Hey, what about this guy? He works his tail off driving that race car all day, and he's going to help load the thing on the trailer. But I'm going to tell you what, we're standing here talking while we're in break there, and we're not too sure if he should be at the racetrack or maybe go to Vegas or Atlantic City. He was 7th at Daytona, 7th here at Rockingham. Everything coming up 7th. You need to be at the crap tables, man.
Well, I don't have one locally here, but hey, 2 7s. You know, we had 2 good race cars last week and this week. This Phoenix Chevrolet has run good both weeks. Had some trouble qualifying yesterday. Had a carburetor trouble to burn the motor up. Birdie made the call. We went out last practice and the motor didn't run good, so we put a new K-Tech engine in it. These things are pretty much bulletproof. We hurt the motor in qualifying with some silicone got in the carburetor, and it turned it down a little bit, but we put a new one in it. And it was as good as the old one. The car was fast off the truck. This race team got me in and out of the pits wonderfully. Made a call there at the end and put 2 tires on. Everybody else put 4. We need to get some track position. We had to start in a different area code. So we got some track position. We could run with them for about 15, 20 laps, but the left sides were a little low and the car got pushing towards the end.
Well, Randy, you're on kind of a mission. There's been a lot of things said about, well, you're replacing the champion in a championship car, but you never doubted your ability. You know that you can do this just as well as anybody else.
I tell you what, Johnny Benson had a lot of fun last year because working with this race team, it's a whole lot easier than I have been. Right to the car owner, Bill Bumgarner, and the base family, his family, to the sponsor, FINA. There's no pressure here. All the guys on the crew, they do a great job. I mean, they give me their 100%. I give them 100%, and you know, come February or next year, we'll go to Daytona maybe as back-to-back champs.
Well, don't doubt that he can't do it. And I'm going to correct one thing that he said. He said he gives 100%. This guy gives 150% every time he straps into that race car. Congratulations on a good run, Randy. Let's go back to Eli.
All right, Glenn, thank you. As we see some of the NASCAR Winston Cup cars coming out for happy hour, the final practice leading up to tomorrow's running of the Goodwrench 400. We're back to the Rock in a moment. There you see the point standings. Mark Martin ahead of Bobby Labonte, then Randy LaJoie, the first of the Busch Series regulars, David Green and Steve Grisham after today's running of the Goodwrench 200. Randy Pemberton is with the man who's now fourth in points, David Green.
Well, he's trying to smile, Eli. He struggled out there a little bit. Nonetheless, he came home with a sixth-place finish. David, a great run for you nonetheless.
Yeah, I got a smile underneath that. You know, we started outside pole there with Mark, kind of backdropped a little bit, but you know, I'm awful excited. 2 races now with the Caterpillar team, American Equipment Racing, you know, and we're back on track, and guys worked hard. K-Tech built us a good engine. Goodyear did a great job with the tires. Just Rockingham's becoming the old Rockingham again, but you know, it was a good run for us, and I'm really excited now and proud for all these guys.
Unofficially fourth in points. It's been a while since you've been there.
Well, ain't that the truth? But you know, that's what we're set out to do, is be there each week, and had a great run at Daytona and had a little problem there, but hey, you know, hopefully we're back. But again, awful proud of this team. And, you know, this team's the first year really they're going to run all the races. And to have Caterpillar on board, it's awful exciting. And, you know, I'm having fun again.
You want to win races. There's a couple of things you maybe could have done to the car. You learned a few things while you're out there today?
Well, yeah, again, this is a whole new team that I'm associated with, and really new kind of race cars. You know, Billy Hess with BSR builds a great car, but in the past he hadn't had a lot of people running his stuff, so we're out here now running it, and you know, we're awful good today at times, and we're going to get better. So you know, I'm awful excited now, and again, for the whole team, K-Tech, BSR, and Goodyear tires and all that, we're pretty happy.
Congratulations on a great effort today, David.
Thanks.
Glenn Jarrett.
Well, thanks, Randy. You know, we've been talking to all these guys that did pretty well and smiling and are happy. Let's talk to somebody who's not real happy with the way things have started so far in 1996. Hermie Sadler, he had a crash at Daytona, not of his own making. Good car today. A couple laps you run, a plug wire comes off. Man, things just aren't going your way.
No, they're not, but we're going to keep digging. We're going to get this DeWalt Chevy in Victory Lane pretty soon. You know, we had a good car all day today. We ran top 5, top 6 all day long on the racetrack. We just lost the plug wire at the beginning. I don't know whether we ran over something and knocked it off, or it just fell off or whatever, but we put ourselves in too big of a hole to come back, but we kept digging, and we got one of our laps back, and had our cautions falling right, we would have been able to get the other one back maybe, and so I'm disappointed about that, but I'm happy with the way the car ran. I'm happy with our pit stops and that kind of thing. So we're getting better, and we owe it to these guys with the Walton people to put this thing in Victory Lane pretty soon, and I'm going to do whatever I have to do that.
Well, you've been in Victory Lane before, but it's been a while now. I know you got to be getting a little frustrated.
Well, I started getting frustrated about this time last year, and it's just been steady building. But, you know, we run good. We were running good at Daytona when we crashed, and nothing we could do. And, you know, we don't know what happened today, but the only thing we can do is run good on the racetrack, and we've done that both weeks, and we had a good top 5, top 10 car today, and that's what you got to start with when you're trying to build a good team, and that's what we had that today.
I wish you better luck next week at Richmond. Be careful sitting in that chair the way your luck's going. It might fall over. Eli?
All right, Glenn, thanks a lot. Hermie Sadler still able to show a bit of a smile. Mark Martin winning from the pole. 5th time that's happened at the Goodwrench 200. We're back with more in a moment. Today's exclusive TNN coverage of the Goodwrench 200 has been brought to you by Texaco Clean System 3 gasolines. Add more life to your car. Take it to the star. And by John Deere, makers of quality lawn and grounds care equipment. There's a top 10 of today's running of the Goodwrench 200. Mark Martin picks up the win. Mike McLaughlin, Jeff Purvis, Ricky Craven, Bobby Labonte. There you see the remainder of those who cracked the top 10. On the racetrack right now, NASCAR Winston Cup Series practice is underway. As you see, a Ford and all the rest Chevrolets this afternoon. Tomorrow, though, we'll be talking about some Pontiacs, I have a feeling, when the NASCAR Winston Cup teams go racing in the Goodwrench 400. Let's remind you that coming up tomorrow, Rick Benjamin will be hosting Race Day here on TNN, 11 o'clock, actually 11:30 tomorrow morning, and 11 o'clock tomorrow evening, Eastern Time, right here on TNN. Of course, we'll have our coverage beginning at 12 noon from here at the Rock. The NASCAR Winston Cup teams running the Goodwrench 400. That is tomorrow. Terry Labonte on the Busch pole for that one. And don't forget, this evening coming up, just about 2.5 hours from now, 6 o'clock this evening, we've got Kenny Schrader joining us at 6 o'clock Eastern time from right here at the racetrack, taking your calls. Hope you can make your plans to join us this evening at 6 o'clock. Pretty good show today, Buddy Baker. Some good races. A lot of guys salvaged pretty good runs after some fairly rocky starts.
I think we watched Jeff Purvis. I think he's going to be a major factor in this whole season for Busch Grand National. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not in winner's circle right away.
Wouldn't surprise a lot of folks. Next stop for the NASCAR Busch Series cars on to the short track at Richmond International Raceway. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage of today's Goodwrench 200 from here at the North Carolina Motor Speedway in Rockingham. Thanks to old Darrell Waltrip. He's about set to go out and practice his Parts America car right now. Buddy Baker, Glenn Jarrett, Randy Pemberton, I'm Eli Gold. Again, hope you can join us this evening. Race Talk at 6 o'clock tonight with Kenny Schrader, our special guest. And tomorrow, 12 noon, live coverage from here in Rockingham for the NASCAR Winston Cup teams. Our congratulations to Mark Martin. We'll talk to you later tonight with Race Talk. I'm Eli Gold. Have a great day. So long, everybody.